Hello and welcome back to another Grannon podcast with the title of
First Draft Films from Indie to Hollywood.
Thank you.
Yes.
Today we have a great topic, a little different than our normal film topics, but still related, and that is feminism.
Yep.
Goodbye. Thank you.
No. With it being March and all that, I mean, not related. Not genuinely not related, just timing-wise worked out.
Yeah. Yesterday was St. Patrick's Day, so
Indeed.
I am not wearing green. Pinch me.
Well, I don't think you're Irish, so...
I think I am, actually.
Oh, really?
Just like a tiny bit. I'm not positive, though.
Okay, I am positive.
Yeah.
And the majority of my ethnic ancestry is Irish. So.
I am
All
definitely a
3/8
mutt.
Irish. Aren't we all, though?
Yeah, honestly. So feminism, if you haven't checked out already. As you can see, we are two women, and we're going to be talking about feminism and our opinions on it, and how it relates to the workforce, specifically our careers in the film industry. So before we dive into that, we're going to get started with a Grannon quick fact. I got new glasses. That is my entire quick fact. Thank you. I actually got two pairs of glasses, which is the first time in my life I've ever owned more than one pair of glasses at a time. I feel very rich.
Yeah. We'll have to do polls to see if people are going to pay attention to what pair you're wearing on our subsequent episodes.
Pay attention. So they're very subtly different. These are rose gold. The other ones are gold with like a little bit of red right here.
The red will probably show up on camera, but the rose gold, I don't know. I can't even tell.
I got these to be subtler anyway, so.
Nice.
Yeah, what's your quick fact?
My quick fact is about you also. And you.
It's all about me today. Feminism.
So you are promoting your makeup business a lot more, and we are doing like weekly makeup stuff. I got to be a makeup model. That was fun. Our friend Addison Kate got to be a makeup model too. Maybe somebody else tomorrow. Anyway, so yeah, that's fun. If you need makeup done professionally, especially like fancy cool makeup, talk to Brooke. If you need like basic makeup, I mean, talk to her too, but like the fancy stuff is what you should talk to her about.
I have more fun with body paints and general character stuff.
Yeah, like fantasy movie, sci-fi movie.
Minimal
type.
prosthetics like ears. I can do a couple ears.
Elf ears.
Elf ears.
Yeah.
Goblin ears.
Nice.
Horns maybe sometimes.
Yeah.
And wounds and gore if you need that for your film.
Yeah. That's more interesting than just making people look extra pretty.
Yeah. We'll link, we have the Grannon Instagram, but then I also have a separate makeup Instagram that we'll try and link somewhere around these parts.
And there's also a tab on our website where it links to your like a portfolio of your makeup as well.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So yeah, check out our website too. We've got lots of pictures if you're not sure what exactly body painting means. Go check out Instagram or our website.
Yeah, Brooke is really good. So, I mean, before we get into our topic, we have what are we working on and what are we watching. We have specifically me. I've been doing a lot of work on The Vicious Vacuum. By a lot of work, I mean labeling the dang footage.
It's been how many months?
Only took me 7 months. Anyways, I've been doing that as well as just getting our podcast up and running. We launched our first episode. At the time of this recording, it was launched like a week and a half ago-ish.
Nice.
So
we should expect another one to us this Friday.
Yes, and who knows when this one will come out. Probably like summer or something.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about March, feminism.
And it's like August.
Exactly. I'm just realizing that it's been so long since we've done an episode just us. It's been the first episode this season. So as much as I love our guests, I love just chatting with you too.
Yeah,
so.
it's fun.
So we've also been watching a lot of stuff. We both watched so the thing that I guess that I watched by myself for the first time was John Wick 1 and 2.
Good stuff.
Surprisingly. Everybody was like, "What? You haven't seen John?" I was like, "Guys, you should know me by now. I have seen very few movies."
Yeah.
So I think I like the second one better. It felt more morally grounded because the first one is basically like a bunch of people just go around killing each other. And my mom made a good point. She's like, this is like the postmodern world. Like, there's no black and white. There's just gray. There's no true heroes. Everybody's just like everybody's degraded essentially. And and I mean, it was a great movie. I'm not saying like don't watch it because it's whatever. But anyway, the second one is like, yes, even though he completed all his revenge and stuff, like he still goes back home and everything's just the same. Nothing has changed. So the second one was super fun. I do intend to watch the other ones too. So the other things on the list, I don't know if you watch other things by yourself.
We watched Damsel.
Yes.
That new movie on Netflix. Well, new to us.
Yeah.
And
new to the world.
Yeah, new to the world. As of this time, I mean, like people watching this, it's gonna be like Damsel. That was months ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we thought it was good.
Yeah, it was fun.
It does definitely tie into our topic today of feminism, actually.
Yeah.
Because it focuses on Millie Bobby Brown's character, Elodie or something. Yeah, Elodie. As she's being married off because she's a princess, so she's saving her kingdom by being married off to this other kingdom's prince, and they like kind of hit it off and have this cute little romance, but then like
stuff happens.
I feel like we can give spoilers. It'll be long enough when this comes out.
Yep.
They drop her to get into a pit to get eaten by a dragon to satisfy some like ancient agreement,
ancient debt
thing. There's definitely a lot of suspension of belief in this movie. Like, how did she not die from this multiple 100-foot fall into this rock?
But she bounced off of trees, Brooke.
Yeah, she bounced off of trees, so she doesn't even break her leg. Like, it's fine. How does she run away from the dragon's breath when a horse can't? I don't know. But it's still a good movie.
It's visually stunning.
Worth watching.
Like, I love the costuming in particular. I mean, you know me, I'm a sucker for a good period drama. Because of what they're wearing. So,
that was a really cool plot point too, of how she used her wedding dress in all these different ways the more it got torn up.
Yep.
I loved that. And the majority of the movie is really just Millie Bobby Brown by herself.
Yeah.
And she is a good actress. I do really like her.
I do too.
That was probably my favorite part of the whole movie, was just her journey traversing this dragon's lair. And that was a good, half of the movie.
Yeah.
The second half fell away for me a little when all the men were horrible.
Except her dad.
Well, I mean, he wasn't as horrible as the others. He wasn't a good fighter. He did sell her for money knowing she was going to die. But then he came back to rescue her. Yeah. So, like, there's some redeemingness there. I was really hoping that the prince would come back to rescue her and, like, redeem it, and they'd have this beautiful love story. But no.
Modern feminism. Men are bad. And we can go back to that later. We also watched... Oh, we've been watching so much stuff.
Yeah.
We watched the live-action Avatar: The Last Airbender. We'll try not to spend a ton of time on all the movies because there's so much...
Well, that one doesn't have to do with feminism. They totally erased... like everything to do with sexism in the show, so it's like, what do you even talk about?
Anyway,
still a good show.
Yeah, it was really
very
fun.
Good.
Yeah,
loved it.
I'm excited for season 2.
Me too. Yeah.
But that one also ties into feminism, especially like in the end. So
it does.
We can touch on that too.
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we recently saw the new Dune.
Da da da.
Oh my gosh.
It's still like settling in my mind. The epicness. Yeah, we went to Portland and with Nick and Mario and your mom and Mario's dad and your brother. And we met Jordan and Ethan and Sarah. So
of Doomed Productions.
Doomed.
You've heard us talk about them before?
Yes.
Yeah. Great guys.
That was fun.
That was so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally recommend. I mean, at this point.
And Paula was there.
Oh my gosh, Paula. Yes.
Oh yeah. Big group, so much fun.
Ton of fun.
Yeah. And Vanessa was there too. Sorry guys, we love you. It was just so many people.
We're forgetting to talk about the women.
Poetic.
Yeah, Dune's great. It totally lives up to the hype in my opinion, and I hope that it would. So
Yeah.
I don't really know what else can be said about that. Other than it was great.
Yeah.
And I loved it.
I really want to watch it again.
Me too.
I want to do back-to-back double feature.
Ooh. Yeah.
So, moving on.
We also started watching The Gentleman, the new series by Guy Ritchie. We're only 2 episodes in, or is it 3? 2, I think. Yeah. So, in typical Guy Ritchie crime style, it's like this thing happens, which spurs off another thing, and then another thing, and then it's just this big chaotic mess. And you're like, how in the world are they going to get out of it?
Yeah.
So,
it's good drama.
It's dark, but it's also funny.
Yeah.
But it's like really dark.
Yeah.
So,
and what's the guy's name? The main character, the actor?
Theo James.
Theo James. He's doing fantastic. I've seen him in some other stuff, and I've always been kind of like, meh, he's all right. But he's fantastic in this role. Like, I love it.
So, feminism.
Feminism.
How does feminism relate to the movies you were talking about?
Oh man,
if we want to start there.
Yeah. Let's go back to Damsel real quick.
Yeah.
I was totally on board with the beginning, with her having this journey on her own. But when it comes to like modern feminism, I get lost. It's just, I don't know a better way to explain it. Like it loses me when it just puts down the men, because that's not what feminism was originally, and that's not how I believe it should be. And that's why I don't call myself a feminist.
Same. Exactly.
I believe men and women are, like about here. Not like here or here.
Exactly.
Like for those of you listening, it's more egalitarian, and it's more about equality.
Yeah.
And so for Damsel specifically, none of the men were good or capable, and if they were an unimportant character, and that was very obvious. And the character Elodie, I love a strong female character, but
it's outbalanced. It's not balanced if all you focus on is that.
Yeah.
And it unfortunately it makes it kind of predictable, because I was reading an article on Letterboxd about the movie, and the director said, we wanted to take a like a fairy tale setting and then make it unexpected and something new. And I mean, that's great, but like you know what direction that's going to be in this day and age.
Yeah.
Because we can't have them get married and live happily ever after.
Yeah.
No.
It was blatantly obvious about halfway through the movie where they were going to end. And I think you and I both predicted that pretty much.
Yeah.
And so it was kind of disappointing in that regard, especially to hear that that's what the director was going for. It's almost like they were a little bit out of touch with the modern realities of feminism in movies and just how obvious it really is.
Because people keep talking as though this isn't the trend. People keep talking about, we need strong female characters. Yes, there's been strong female characters, just like coming out of our ears. Essentially. There's no shortage of like female-led anything.
The hard part though is, and this is where I want more strong female character-led movies, because we've had so many now, like Black Widow, Damsel, couple of popular, Captain Marvel, that's one, and like the new Marvels movie. There have been a lot like that, but they have not been very good. Like, I enjoyed Captain Marvel and Black Widow. I didn't watch the Marvels, and I enjoyed Damsel, but comparatively to other movies, they're just not as good.
It's almost like if you try to force the issue, then you take it too far.
Yeah.
But if you do it without trying to do it, like I think that's how, like with Isabel or whatever, we didn't try to make it a big deal. We didn't make it an issue.
Yeah. Trying to think of a good example of a strong female character in a female-led movie. I know they exist somewhere.
This isn't a movie, but I think Stranger Things does a good job of balancing out. I mean, that's a huge ensemble cast, so it's a little bit different. But they do a good job of balancing out the men and the women.
Yeah, I agree. The men in that show, granted they are kids, but like even the adults, like the men in that show are capable and not idiots. And then the women in the show are also capable and not idiots. And they're all strong characters in their own ways. That is a really good example. Avatar: The Last Airbender. The original, not the new live action, because there's more to the live action. But in the original, you have Katara at the beginning, and she's not like the main character, but she's part of the main three. So I feel like this counts. Yeah. She is kind of brash, doesn't have her emotions totally under control, and she's trying to be this strong female character. And then through the course of the show, she learns how to be that strong female character. And it's not by being overly emotional, but it is by using her emotions, her strength in those emotions, and growing her bending and learning how to help others and not just like, I don't know. Well, she helped others in the beginning. That's not quite what I'm trying to say, but
that makes me think of something, because watching somebody's growth as a character is so important.
Oh, yeah.
Because otherwise, because Because the message that, you know, we want to send the message to young girls, you're capable, you're awesome, you can do things. But if these characters are automatically able to do all the things, and then these young girls are watching this being like, wow, here I am, I'm struggling. Does that mean I'm just a loser?
Yeah.
What's the problem with that? But if you see somebody struggling and falling on their face and struggling with water bending or whatever it might be, and then progressing and becoming better and better, that's better than just the inherently perfect kind of a thing.
And that was the huge main point of Avatar Book 1, Water, where Katara is not a good bender, and she and Aang work together to start getting better. And then by the time she gets to the North Pole, she has that fight with Master Pakku, and she is actually able to hold her ground. Like, she doesn't necessarily defeat him, but she impresses him. And that is huge compared to where she started. And you see her struggle, you see her fail. I feel like in the live action, I didn't see her fail. I saw her practice, which I appreciated. And considering how much they squished and cut, like, I'm glad they left that in.
Yes.
Because otherwise it would have been like...
But it was less of a plot point.
It was.
And removing that kind of did some damage to her character.
Yeah, it did. I feel like overall in the live action, they damaged all the characters a little bit, but... I mean, in order to do the characters justice, you have to have kind of the full scope, and to squish that all into 8 episodes in the live action, that is very tough. I do feel like they did a good job with what they had decided to do. But yeah, just looking at that Katara example, there wasn't a whole bunch of growth. There wasn't a lot of struggle in the beginning compared to where she ended in book 1. Yeah. But once again, like I said earlier, most of Katara's growth, maybe not most, but a good portion of it came in books 2 and 3. So I really hope that in the live action, they're going to continue that. You know, like the challenge between Toph and Katara, and how they butt heads, and how Toph is this like truly strong, independent woman. Yes. Even though she's 12. She's definitely a little firecracker. She's headstrong, and so she and Katara butt heads because they're both so stubborn. But then they learn how to get along, and they become this beautiful family. And I think that is more of what we should be seeing in movies nowadays.
Yeah. Another thing before we move on from Avatar, at the end, when in the live action, when all the women were like, we want to fight too, and the guy's like, okay, I don't know. It just felt really cheesy. And the first thing that popped into my mind was, what if all your healers die? Yeah. Like, having healers, I think it would have been better if Katara had been like, okay, I want to learn healing too. That's useful. Yeah. That's very useful.
In the original show, she did learn some healing, but then she was also like, I need to fight.
See, I don't even remember the original show very well, so I'm glad you're remembering this.
Katara's character arc at the season finale, I feel like they did it pretty on point, with how she was like, oh, this is interesting, healing, but like, what about the fighting? And so she learned a little bit of healing, which she then uses later often. And then she also went and learned the fighting. But yeah, with all of the women healers in the live action coming and being like, I want to fight, I didn't feel like that was believable, because what if some of the women didn't want to fight? Not all women want to fight.
Yep.
Just saying.
And that's a good segue into the word that I recently learned. I think I was watching a Brett Cooper video. The word, or the phrase, is choice feminism. It means, like, now in this modern age, a lot of women are saying, yes, I know that I could go off and be a girl boss, but I want to stay home, for example, and raise a bunch of kids and not work outside the home. And they're saying, yes, I'm doing that not because I'm oppressed or whatever, or not because I'm being forced to do it by my evil husband or whatever the thing is. But they're wanting to do that. But a lot of the other people who call themselves feminists are extremely irate about that. They are like, what? No, you shouldn't do that. You need to go out and, I don't know, take over the world or something. And they're like, no, I don't want to. Why? I don't want to. I think this is more important for me. They're like, you go off and take over the world, but I don't want to do that. And I think that's very telling of how backwards feminism in 2024 has become to where it started originally.
Yeah, that's right. Because it started as women be what you want, more or less.
Or it kind of started with the right to vote.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Suffragettes. And I had an interesting thought about that too. Now, I haven't fact-checked myself on this because I haven't read the Constitution in a hot minute. But I believe in the Constitution, the requirement to vote was to be a man who was married and who owned property. And if you think about that, I don't know about the marriage thing, but I think the property owning thing, if you think about that, I mean, a bunch of people are like, oh no, how dare you oppress whatever. Well, if you think about it, that means essentially that the family unit gets the vote. Somebody who owns property and who has kids or is planning on having kids has a vested interest in the future of the country versus some rando who's bouncing in and out. So if that was their reasoning, family unit versus individual,
that actually is really solid reasoning.
Exactly. That was one of my shower thoughts that I remembered on this topic. And now, today, everything is very much individualized, less focused on community. It's more focused on what do I want to do versus what do we want to do? What's important for the church or for the town? And versus now, it's like, what do I want to do?
Oh yeah, the self movement that no one seems to really be talking about publicly, and for obvious reason. Like, who would want to bring this to people's attention? Like, it's extremely damaging. I mean, selfishness and pride are one of the primary sins.
Yep.
And that's getting into some religion talk. But even aside from that, like, how on earth is a country or a world or even a city, town, neighborhood supposed to thrive when everyone is only concerned with their own well-being? How does that work? Like, if you suddenly get sick, you go to a doctor. What if that doctor doesn't want to take care of you because they wanted to go on vacation? Or they just don't like you? Like, there has to be that community and self-sacrifice.
Yeah.
And so that idea of the family unit voting makes sense to me. Not that I think women shouldn't have the right to vote.
Agreed.
I do think that was a good thing.
And again, times have changed.
Yeah, times have definitely changed.
Almost 300 years ago.
Yeah, so. Like, I am not married and do not have kids, but I want to, and I do have a vested interest in this country. So I do appreciate the right to vote.
And if you think about it now, like, I would say probably most married couples probably have similar political views.
I would hope so.
And if they didn't and they both voted, then that's just like...
They just cancel each other out.
Exactly. So
Yeah. Yeah, so the family unit often does still vote from what I've observed. Yeah, we've just become so self-absorbed as a whole. Not saying every person out there is, but narcissism and self-interest have definitely been prevalent a lot.
And correlating with that, there's an increased rise in loneliness in people.
Shocker.
Especially men, but everybody, like in American society, Western society, whatever we want to call it.
Yeah. Humans were made to have community and be with each other physically. I mean, that's why COVID, like, really
so much
hurt
damage.
people. Yeah. Because they were saying, like, they were scaring people into not being around each other.
Yeah.
And that's why we saw so much rise in mental illness, especially depression. And that often goes hand in hand with loneliness.
Yep.
I think feminism at the start had a good idea.
Yeah.
But
it's an example of how you can take things too far, and intentions aren't everything. And I think a lot of it today with the people who, because a lot of people are acting as though there has been no progress made for the good of women.
Yeah.
And it's like, do you know anything?
Like, you've been living under a rock.
Not to be rude, but I think you've been living under 5 rocks or only stuck on Twitter or something.
Yeah.
Everybody I know who's traveled internationally has a bigger perspective on not only, I mean, gender relations or whatever, or just the appreciating where you are. And I think I'm very blessed to live here. Yeah. There's plenty of great places to live around the world, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else but here.
I've said this before. People who think America is a terrible place have never been outside of America. And yes, that's a generalization. There might be a person out there who's traveled internationally who's like, America sucks, but I'm not talking about that person. In general, like, the people I hear complain about America being terrible have not traveled to third world countries. Yeah. They have not gone and looked into what China does to its people. They have not looked into anything about what China does, or Korea, or Russia. Like, they're just, like, they're living in their own box.
Specifically North Korea.
Yeah, specifically North Korea. South Korea is nice.
Yeah, from what I've heard,
I would love to go there someday.
Yeah, that'd be fun. So I think gratitude is a big thing that's missing from a lot of people. Yeah. Like, I am very grateful to be where I am as a woman.
Oh, yeah. I'm very grateful to be born in this day and age where you and I can have a podcast and talk about these things. Like, I don't want to discount all of the good things that the feminism movement has done over the last 100 years.
Yeah.
But I do think it's important to have awareness of when we as a society have gone too far. You know, there were people back when feminism first started appearing who were like totally against it.
Yeah.
So, and that has been prevalent throughout all of history, you know, people opposing a new idea. So it's not super surprising to me that the modern feminists are now opposing this idea of going full circle and women choosing to be in the home, which is a great thing. I don't understand their narrow-mindedness around women can choose to do whatever they want as long as it's what I want them to do.
I mean, it's the same with, black people should only vote for so-and-so. Like, that's the exact same logic, which is completely faulty logic and just very insulting to everybody.
Yes.
But yeah, I think how this ties into us, I mean, for me, I'm not working a day job anymore. I'm a housewife and a filmmaker. Yeah. So I really like that. Yeah. It's really great. I had a wonderful job. Yeah. I accomplished great things. I had a lot of fun. I got to go to New York and that was cool. But I just like being home better more than I like.
Yeah, it's a very noble cause in so many ways. I mean, raising up the future generation is arguably the most important thing that anyone can do. And to be able to have the freedom to also be part of the film world and influence the whole world.
Hashtag small business owner. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't want to just only be at home. I'm very glad that I have this. I think my personality and my temperament is a little more on the restless side. Like, I want to do things. I want to see people. I want to do stuff.
And the benefit of being a small business owner, you and I can bring our kids and show them what we do in the film world once they're older, and show them why we're in the film world and that we're doing this because we love movies and we're passionate about bringing good entertainment back to the world. Quality writing, like, haven't seen that in a while.
Dune,
that's true. That's true.
Yes.
For me, I want that same thing. I want to keep a home and raise the next generation.
Because it's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, I don't think people, at least for me, it's really satisfying when my house is very clean. Yeah. Which is not very often. It's not completely clean very often.
Yeah.
But when I don't like chores any more than the average person, but when the house is clean, I feel really good.
Yeah. It is a good feeling. It's a good feeling to have that space, that home space that is sacred and that you have put effort into.
And it's pleasant to you. Yes. And it's pleasant to, I mean, for me, pleasant to Mario. So,
yeah, to your spouse, to your family.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is an important element of homemaking is taking that self out of it and doing it for more than just yourself, doing it so your kids have a clean space to grow up in and healthy food to eat. Yeah. And so your husband can come home from his work and not be stressed out by your laziness. Like, not calling anyone out. I don't have a husband right yet. But I have practiced, working against that laziness so that I don't become the type of wife who is antagonistic towards the family unit by not keeping a good home.
Yeah.
So, and it's a lot of work. It is easily as much, if not more work than a regular 9 to 5.
Yep.
But it is a very good work. So.
And I've found it much easier since I wasn't working to be able to be on top of household stuff.
Yeah. I dream of the day when I am only a mother, housewife, and filmmaker, and not also a working woman. I mean, filmmaking is work, but it's a work that we feel that God has called us to.
Yes.
And so God gives us the strength to do that, as well as homemaking and motherhood.
Yeah. And with us being self-employed, we can, to a certain extent, modify a set to be, and I mean, to be fair, we haven't tried this yet. We haven't tried bringing baby on set.
That's a new
that will be an interesting thing to discover later. But we can.
We can do whatever we want.
If it's our set, we can do what we want. So.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the things Proverbs 31 talks about. If you're at all familiar with the Bible, Proverbs 31 is the ideal woman, according to, I forgot who wrote it.
King Lemuel, maybe?
Yes, something like that.
Yeah.
And it talks about how she is a homemaker. She takes care of the home. She cooks food for her family. But she also makes them clothes. And then she sells clothes at the market. She brings in income. She goes out and purchases land and runs vineyards. Yep. So
And it talks about her husband essentially being involved in city government. He sits
Yes.
at the gates with the wise men or something like that. So
Yeah.
so she's
they're
kind of
very
funding
involved.
all of his endeavors as well.
Because he's obviously doing very important work.
Yeah.
And she is being supportive of him by bringing in money and raising the kids. I would assume with his help, of course, because that is a big job. But yeah, and so that ideal is like you can be a mother and a working woman.
Yep.
In the modern day, it's a little hard because of like the 9-to-5 schedule. But when you're a small business owner, you have that flexibility to just do whatever you want.
Thank God.
Thank the Lord.
Yes.
I don't think I would be in the film industry if I had to sit at a desk 9 to 5 every day.
No. Some people do.
Gosh, I did that for 2 years.
No, some people in film do that.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. Anyway.
The question we have for you guys, you kind of know our answer already, but the question we have for you guys, and this can apply to men and women, would you rather, in an ideal world, be a homemaker and keeping a home, maybe a farm, maybe a castle, or would you rather be in the workforce, influencing whatever area of business you desire? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, wherever you can comment. I don't know, platforms and stuff.
Yep. We'll do a poll thing on.
We'll do a poll thing.
A poll thing.
Yeah, but both. I mean, our answer is both, and I think that's a very valid answer if that is what you feel called to do. And some people are not. Some people are only called to do one or the other, and that is great. The world needs people like that.
Yes.
But yeah.
Yeah.
Those are my thoughts.
Cool.
And the feminism.
With that being said, God bless and good night.
Good night.